Tbilisi, 1978. A historic encounter that many have forgotten. A young 15-year-old Garry Kasparov, already a rising force, is facing the former world champion Mikhail Tal, a legendary attacker known as the magician from Riga. I will show you Game 2 of their blitz match. Kasparov plays aggressively, choosing the Richter-Rauser variation of the Sicilian defense. He wants obviously tactics and complications. But against Tal, complications are a dangerous territory. What follows is attacking chess, ending with one of the most ironic checkmates. Kasparov opened the game with pawn to e4. Tal responded with the Sicilian, what was no surprise, so he moved the pawn to c5. Knight to f3 from white. Knight to c6 from black. d4 by white. Tal captures with the c-pawn on d4. Knight captures on d4. Black to play knight to f6. Knight c3 from white. d6 from black. Bishop to g5 from Kasparov. The Richter-Rauser variation of the Sicilian defense is now on the board. Kasparov signals with that move his aggressive intentions. Pawn to e6 by black. Queen d2 by white. a6. And white is castling queenside. Bishop d7 by Tal. And f4 by Kasparov. Now we have b5. Tal plays the Sicilian with his signature aggression. He is looking for counterplay and wants to attack the white king as fast as he can. Kasparov captures the knight on f6 and Tal recaptures with the pawn. White damages black's structure because black has to recapture with the pawn. If Tal would take the bishop with his queen, then white is better. Now we have knight captures on c6, black recaptures, the white queen moves to e1, and the black bishop moves to e7. Tal prepares for aggressive play without fear. Now we have bishop to d3, and the black queen moves to b6. King to b1 by white, and Tal is also castling queenside. Both kings now are on the queenside, a fascinating choice by Tal. By castling queenside, the position remains incredibly open. We have rook f1 by white, bishop to b7, white pawn moves to f5, the black king moves to b8, white queen g3, black queen to c5, and now Kasparov captures on e6, and Tal recaptures. Kasparov has managed to weaken Tal's position. We have knight to e2 by white, and Tal responded with queen to e5. Trusting in an advantage of a strong bishop pair, Tal wants to exchange the queens now. But Kasparov don't want that. He played knight to f4. We have rook from d to e8, rook from d to e1, then rook from e to g8, white queen to h3, and bishop to c8. Kasparov is putting pressure on e6. At this point, the position of the young Garry Kasparov looks very solid. We have queen to e3, queen to c6, queen to e2, and rook to g5. The black rook becomes a multi-purpose defender and attacker, but white has still a slightly advantage. Now we have pawn to c3 and rook to e5. Tal's rook on e5 is the key to his defense. It blocks the center and prepares for a counterplay. Bishop c2, queen to c4. Again Tal's tried to simplify, but Kasparov don't want to exchange the queens. We have knight to d3, rook to g5, bishop b3, the black queen moves to c6. White to move knight to f4, putting more pressure to the square e6. Rook e5 again, queen to c2, black queen to c7. Kasparov is maneuvering, trying to find a hole in Tal's position. Kasparov has a slightly advantage in this position, but Tal is in his element when chaos is on the board. We have pawn to g3, bishop b7. The white king moves to the corner. There is no reason for white not to capture the pawn on e6, but Kasparov probably had another plan. f5 by Tal. Tal has something to do, because his position is very bad now. So Tal is creating complications without regard for his position. Objectively, white is now clearly in a better position. We have now pawn from e captures on f5. Black recaptures with the pawn. Tal opened the position for more activity. Knight to d3 now, and black moves the bishop to e4. Tal anchors his bishop in the heart of Kasparov's position to get a chance. Kasparov captures this bishop. He wants to restrict Tal's chances for a dangerous counterplay. Rook captures on e4, white bishop to d5, the black rook moves to e3, white knight to b4, and the black king moves to a7. That is a big mistake. Now white has a huge advantage, but do not forget this is a blitz game. We have now pawn to a4, black queen to c5, the a pawn captures on b5, and black bishop moves to f6. A mistake, but Tal is focused to the white king. White captures now with the rook on f5. A mistake by the young Kasparov. He wins a pawn but loses his advantage. Now we have rook to c8 by Tal. Tal invites Kasparov to check him with the knight. This is a mistake. Now the game is equal. We have king to b6, bishop to b3. Kasparov thinks he is defending, but he is walking into a mating net that Tal prepared for him. We have rook to e1 with check, king to a2. The pawn from a takes to b5. White rook captures on c5. Rook to a8 check. The rook on the A file is deadly. Now we have bishop to A4, rook captures on A4, king to B3, the d-pawn captures on C5, queen to F5. With this move, white throws the game away, and Tal saw the mate. Rook to E2, white knight to A5, the black rook moves to B4 with check, C captures on B4, rook captures on B2 with check, king to A3, and pawn from C captures on B4 with mate. Mikhail Tal proved that even against a genius like Kasparov, magic still wins, a pawn made to end that game. This game reminds of why Mikhail Tal was dangerous for everyone, even in a bad position. A 50-year-old Garry Kasparov played creatively and without fear, but against Tal, courage and chaos on the board belonged to only one man. If you enjoyed this attacking blitz game, then give the video a like, please. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.